So, Anthony, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, and it's great to meet you again after well, so
Yeah,
many years,
so
I can
long.
already say. Yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
we met in Amsterdam, I think, when you were
that's,
DJing there.
that's right. Yeah, we went for a glass of wine and a bit of some gourmet meat,
Yeah,
chorizo,
Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah, it was a Spanish shop with only Iberian ham. So
That's
it's quite
correct.
a memory, especially if an eccentric character like yourself is combined
Well,
with the shop. It's
well,
unforgettable.
I wouldn't consider myself eccentric now. I'm still far too poor to be considered eccentric. I'm still just weird, unfortunately. Yes, not a couple of million, and then I can call myself eccentric. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to introduce you as probably tango's most sarcastic person. So that's a good
Uh,
reputation to have, I think.
Sweetness and light. I don't know where you get that from, but go on.
Well, you're a very humble person. I've already remembered that now.
Mhm.
So I have a bunch of topics I would like to discuss with you. Um, and first of all, I'm going to ask you a bit about your history, tango history. But you've
Mhm.
once told me that you were already a DJ, I think, when you're are like 20 years old or something. So obviously not related
Yeah,
to tango. So I would like to ask you a bit about, even if it because even if it was just a hobby, I think it gives you a different perspective from other.
I was. Yeah, I was. No, I kind of started when I was 14, and I got a record player that was covered in paint off an uncle. Yeah, as a gift, and had to get clean the paint off it. It was one of the old-fashioned drop down. Put the record on, drop the platter would drop, and the needle would come across automatically. And that was my first record player. I remember embarrassingly, my grandmother took me down to the local store in the countryside of Ireland for my first record, which was Glenn Campbell's Rhinestone Cowboy. And I still have the LP. I then bought Kate Bush after that. I kind of progressed pretty quickly by the time I was 15. But anyhow, yeah, I started making tapes at parties when I was 16 and 17. And now this is the old days before anything was connected. We would literally put the single on, press two buttons on the tape machine, and try and be very quiet in the room while it was recording the signal. Yeah. And then you go and put the next single on. So that's the taking over DJing at parties. And then when I got to university, by that stage, I had already joined. There was a municipal record library, and I got to know the guy in there over 3 or 4 years from like the age of 15, 16, 17. And it was kind of like he used to be guided. You need to listen to this. Who Led Zeppelin, fantastic. Who's wow, yeah. And then Cream, and then the song Crossroads. Well, that's actually Robert Johnson and the blues. And then the history. I love history. So then I went back and started researching all the history and right back into the blues and the Delta blues. And the fact you can see the timeline. It's the exact same as the tango timelines. You see people swinging from the claro, etc., out into the different types of orchestras. Yeah. And same kind of thing. And that was fascinating. So by the time I got to university, I had a fairly large collection of records and a van and a couple of turntables. So I was playing parties mainly. And then myself and two or three other guys, we figured out how to get our hands on a small radio transmitter, and started a pirate radio station, which we used to set up in the attics of different people's houses around the city because it only had a transmission range of 2.5 kilometers, 3 kilometers. But I was big enough for the campus area so those were exciting days, and doing the radio was good fun, and being chased by the police because it was an illegal station. So we had to keep moving the location. Yeah. And nightclubs, but it wasn't really discos I was doing. I did have disco stuff, of course, but it was more indie and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that started it. Then graduation came, and you're laughing, Lucas. We've lost Lucas. Hello.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't think I don't think I can do this for another 50 minutes.
Right. Is it too fast or just too humorous?
Yeah, just too dry. Yes.
What?
Too dry.
Too dry.
Yes. Well,
Grinding.
you're quite a character, even though you like to not ignore it, but like I forgot the word. Like you're too humble to admit, but
Right. So
but
do you want to restart again, or are you just going to clip it out or leave it in?
No, I don't care.
Yeah, leave it in. Fuck it. Yeah.
I think it's gonna happen more. I think it's gonna happen more frequently after this. So I don't care. I like a bit of humor. So no problem.
So, I mean, I'm nearly 1.98 meters tall, and when I was younger, I was into sports, but I was still as awkward as hell, so I couldn't dance. So hiding behind the DJ booth was just a natural place to be. Yeah, it was fantastic, safe, and there was pleasure when you got a dance floor going. No, these were student nightclubs and student discos. You might have a couple of hundred people, yeah, jumping around, but I mean, they had great lubrication to help. You know, it wasn't exactly like tango where somebody will have a little glass of wine. Yeah, the balance wasn't really needed in a mosh pit when you were playing Queens of the Stone Age or the Smiths or etc. Yeah, so you know, it was, but still, that started. Then professional life came, and the records all went into the attic and got forgotten, and yeah, and onwards I went, and I discovered tango. My God, I returned back to Ireland in 2000 and something, and I accidentally discovered tango. Yeah.
Sorry, well, what did you mean? You returned to Ireland? You lived abroad.
I lived and worked all over the world. I lived in the Middle East, the Far East, yeah, different places. I was traveling around to different projects, troubleshooting. I'm behind all this. I'm a civil and structural engineer, and then I became project and risk management is what I do these days. So this is not going well, Lucas. You need to stay off the happy stuff. Yeah.
No, you're just even if even if you're talking about serious stuff, you're still funny.
Yeah. Do you want to take a break for 30 minutes and compose yourself, and I'll get a cup of tea?
I guess that would be a good option, but no, I think I think we're not gonna get very far with this. Maybe we should leave out the jokes.
I'm not joking. I'm telling the truth. I mean, okay, I'm telling things in my own style. So I suppose cut then to maybe it was late 2006. Yeah, probably was about then 2000, maybe a bit earlier. 2006 late, yeah. And I had there was a Dublin Fringe Theatre Festival with a Spiegel tent from Germany, and the sponsor I knew, and they contacted me and said, "Do you want tickets?" So I had the program. I'm going on the phone. Give me 2 tickets for this live music. And they said something Argentine Tango Orchestra Tuesday night. I'm doing nothing. Give me 2 tickets, and I went along. Didn't know what I was expecting. Didn't know what I was. Then there was an orchestra, 2 bandoneon, violin, bass, piano, and a female singer. And didn't know Spanish either, except what I learned off the cartoons like Speedy Gonzales, and so it was like nothing. And but listening to it, I could tell it was dark, and I've always loved dark music, and I could tell there was pain, and that intrigued me, and I was really enjoying it, and kind of not having, but just could sense it more than anything else. And first time seeing a bandoneon, we have something similar in Irish music, but far smaller, and then they started dancing. The local tango scene in front of the stage turned up, and I watched, and I was intrigued because I could see that basically there was something else going on, a kind of conversation, a private conversation between the dancers, and I had no dancing experience, and I thought, I'm going to try that. So I went looking for tango classes, and the one thing I had noticed was that most couples were nearly all the same size, so I was highly concerned given my height. And so that was one of the questions I had for the teacher. And he said not to worry. And the same night I started, a lady from Croatia started, who was the same height as me in heels. So I went along, and it was forward left, forward right, etc. And it was a Friday night, so I used to go after work, and it was actually very near where I lived in my centre of Dublin, and it was fantastic because it was a stress buster because this was totally alien. So it took all my mental capacity to do the simple box step, and then I felt totally refreshed because it was like a meditation nearly for an hour, the class, and then I'd go off back into the normal life outside and meet other colleagues in the pub and whatever and go nightclubbing. And then I just started staying. And stayed at the Malanga, and then just not very slow actually. Probably within 6 months, I was saying, hang the DJ, because at that stage I'd already bought a whole load of CDs and everything, and I found a website in Argentina and ordered a massive amount of music. But most of it being the stuff I could access in my head, which was in those days, it was all Gotan Project and Bajo Fondo or the thing, and that's what I liked. Yeah. Trilo I couldn't understand or hear. I couldn't hear a band.
But that's why you criticized the DJ, because
he was playing traditional music and not enough Gotan Project. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a very classic situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy still to this day we meet, and the odd time he still jokes about it. Yeah. So they said, go on, you DJ then. And I said, I will. And that was it. It started as an hour on a Friday night, and then I was doing the Friday night Malongas, and before I know it, I was doing 2 or 3. And as I grew as a dancer, I started obviously enjoying other music, and as I started listening, and it just went from there.
But sorry for interrupting, but did you like only play this neo stuff when you were DJing in the beginning, or did you also add in other things because you?
In the beginning, I played a mix of everything. In those days, the tango was very different. There was neo, there was any kind of folk tune that had any kind of tango beat, and also obviously you were DJing off CDs, not computers. Yeah.
Which year was this?
This was 2007.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah. So they're transferring. Yeah, they started moving over to a Windows computer with with Windows Media Player. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then slowly started reading up online and finding out about tandas and listening, and then going and listening to other DJs, and slowly it started to come together. But it was very serious, the tango, and the great milongas in Dublin in those days. We were blessed. It was that boom time, and we had loads of Europeans come over who were already good tango dancers. So it was a fantastic time to start. I don't think personally the scene has been ever as good since. Yeah, there would be 40 or 50 people on a Friday night, which was for Dublin is impossible now, even to this day. So it was a blessed time to start.
So sorry for my ignorance, but I've never heard of like people massively coming to one city from Europe just to dance, like not for an event, but just
no, they came here to work and live. But a lot of them were already tango dancers. We were the Celtic Tiger. Yeah, this was Ireland was boom time, and the European travel restrictions had lifted.
Sorry, I meant you were saying like it was a boom time for tango, but you meant economic.
It was, yes. By default.
It's related to each other, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was that. At about 2007, with another character I met at tango, we went to 1 or 2 local festivals, and they were all very serious. And we were looking at each other and going, "There's no crack." Yeah. So we said we'd have a bit of a party down in his house in down the country on the beach. He has a beach house with a little wooden deck, and we were going to floor it out. And we asked who wants to come down. And before we knew it, we had 40 or 50 people. So we said we better go up the road, the village, to the local hotel and see about taking their rooms. They had 12 rooms because we couldn't fit that many people in the house. And we were talking, and the guy goes, "Well, if you're taking all the rooms," yeah, and this is September we were talking about. If you're taking all the rooms, sure, I have a bit of a dance hall out the back. What? Oh, out the back. It was a palace of a dance hall from the 50s with the glitter ball and everything, about the size of a basketball court, the floor. Yeah, perfect wooden floor. So we looked at each other, and we went back in and had a drink and thought, I said, we've got a dance floor, we've got 40 and 50 people. Yeah, we might as well just get some teachers down, since everybody, and it started into a festival. And then we were just sitting there thinking, what the hell, this is a festival. Yeah, it looks like it's a festival. All right, what are we going to call it? You know. So we looked around, and on the telly was the golf, the Masters. Yeah, golf from USA. So we looked up on Google, couldn't know he had done an Irish Masters Tango Festival, so that's what we called it.
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah,
and then we decided, the hell with it, let's have a bit of crack. Let's have a dance competition as well. So we had an Irish Masters trophy and a European Tango Championship trophy, and we went and bought 2 trophies. The Irish one was that height, and the European one was that high. And it was all about great crack, because even the dance competition was done. I mean, basically the teachers were told to go around and tap people on the shoulder, and you left the floor. It wasn't necessarily the best couple, it was just the most fun. They left 2, and we had like voting by rounds of applause, and we had my friend Eddie was in the middle. He had one couple on one side, like the boxing ring, holding up the hand for a round of applause, and then the next couple. The 2 trophies were given out, and the next year we ran it again. And we ran it for a couple of years, and it was good fun.
It sounds like the most informal tango event ever.
It was great crack, and and I even DJ'd it. The main, but one of the Argentine maestros we hired came up to us and offered to take over the music and let me go and relax. So I must have been doing a terrible job, and must have been
what year was that?
2007 when I started.
Oh, when you started. Okay, I thought it was maybe I remembered it a few years later, but
yeah, we did one. The last one was 2013.
Yeah,
that was that's when we decided to kind of go professional, put on a real show, because we'd both been traveling to events in Europe and knew what real tango events were like. We wanted to bring some of that kind of professionalism and expertise. So one thing was real DJs, people who knew what they're about, and had been DJing a lot longer and so we brought real DJs, maestros. We had Murat Erdemsel and his partner Michel, with Daniela and Luis, Bianchi, great couple, great teachers, good friends, and another couple of couples at different levels, and we had great fun. So that was the last time we organized an event in Ireland. We decided that basically it wasn't worth the effort.
Yeah.
So, and it was about that 2012-13 I started traveling in Europe, and 2013 were the kind of first tango DJing gigs. In Europe as well. And since then, it's just been growing in frequency each year until the pandemic, of course. But I'm starting off again now. My first gig, thankfully, of 20. Well, no, it won't be my first gig of 21. But it will be the first real marathon. It's in August in Lviv in the Ukraine.
Okay. It's the Remolino or.
No, it's not Remolino. No, it's another one. It's the Lviv Magical Tango. It's been going a long time there in the summer. Remolino is normally there in the winter, New Year's.
Okay. I saw something like a little edition for the summer or something.
They are doing, sometimes similar, around that. Different organizer.
Yeah, different organizer. So actually, I'm just going to skip forward in these questions a bit, because you were mentioning these European events. You're actually the first, not the first person I speak who goes to these events, but this is the real, like, I feel like it's you're the one of the most traveled tango people I've ever met, and let me just ask an open question about what it was like, because you're not doing it right now, to travel so much for tango, especially if you compare to what you just told about the scene in Ireland, which was limited. And
well, I mean, it was simple. Where Ryanair's hub, it's Dublin, so I mean, getting anywhere was easy. I have my own business, my people, so I can slip away because I'm the boss. and I was able to leave on a Friday and come back on a Monday, and nobody would notice really. But it was just such an adventure to get to cities and meet people and the culture and experience a completely different side. Sometimes I would go and do a kind of a tour for take 3 weeks and start maybe in the Netherlands and go down through Germany and Italy and then come back and via another route. Yes. So I've often done that, and I spent time traveling through Ukraine and parts of Russia that I would never have normally seen but for tango. So I'm eternally grateful to tango, just for the traveling part alone and all the people I've met. I've been on buses with people with chickens sitting beside me in the middle of Ukraine and in the middle of the night on a 12-seater bouncing around on the roads, going to the middle of nowhere to Cherkasy to DJ a marathon in a small town. And it was fantastic. And I've made good friends there. They're still good friends. We still meet up when it's possible. Russia, I've been in where Pushkin's Gori, where Pushkin was from, his family estate, and the mansion. Well, it's a rebuild because the Germans burnt it to the ground in World War II because it was a cultural icon. But I've been there and DJed there, and it was and as well as the rest of Europe. Spain, can't recall DJing in Spain. I think that's probably the only country. Yeah,
I don't think it's a real tango country. They seem to have a
No.
few events, but in the cities, I've been to Spain several times, and it was very underwhelming what they had, like tango-wise. But maybe Barcelona, but I haven't tried it there.
But I've DJed in business. I've been in places like India and Istanbul with business, and I DJed in Delhi. That was comical. Yeah, that was someone that's a great. I mean, they had DJ there. They had a milonga once every three or 4 weeks. Yeah, in the Sheraton Hotel, and it was literally more about bling than dancing. And these people have a teacher who comes and visits. And in those days, this is back 2010. Maybe it's probably changed by now, but it was hilarious. Nobody knew how to dance. It was about dressing up and being seen in the Sheraton. It was great. It was just a surreal experience. And then there was thankfully an Israeli couple from the nearby embassy belt who were stationed there, and they could dance tango. So my night was kind of saved. But yeah, it was a case of nobody can dance, nobody cares what you're playing. Yeah, so just let put on an old playlist and go and dance and enjoy yourself. Yeah. So Tunisia, even Baghdad in the green zone.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
Similar experiences, or were actually real milongas?
No, these were just a few people talking around a table in a hotel or as tango. Yes, I do. I used to do that. All right, okay. Hang on a while. Open the laptop. Here we go. Yeah, but in the real milongas too, in Tunisia and also in Delhi. Yeah, but interesting.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I mean, obviously, it's mainly DJing, marathons, events. Yeah, and but I like the local milongas still. I mean, some of my favorites. Yeah,
it seems like a great mix. What you're doing?
Yeah, you get differently. I mean, there's all different kinds of things, from festivals all the way down big festivals. Yeah, it's like Wuppertal. I've DJed that a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years now. I think I can remember in a row, and that's like 700-800 people. It's at peak. Yeah, and that's a huge night. That's a big event. Yeah, but it's so professionally run. It's a pleasure. Yeah, and the acoustics in that place, yeah, are incredible. And then you can go the next day. You can be, DJing somewhere else like Cologne, Tango Up, and that's a great room too, and great people and great dancers. And it's a completely different set of pleasure, but it's and it's a challenge to kind of always to try and make sure you're not playing the same stuff and give people what they want and forget about what you think is clever. Yeah. So so traveling, I've always loved traveling. It's never been a problem.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's really interesting. Like I said, the combination of what you were, this bus with chickens in Ukraine compared to that palace in in Germany. You were just talking about.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
totally
yeah.
different experiences. Maybe a DJ question related to this. Is it different for you to just play in all these different places where you don't know people? Well, it's a bit of a difficult question to ask because you never seem to DJ like constantly at the same place, so you cannot really compare maybe. But
Mhm.
for me, like there's a difference between playing somewhere you're a regular DJ and playing somewhere where people don't know you. I think you're more on the safe side in one way or another. But maybe that's not true for you.
No, yeah, I love the challenge of being thrown in and asked to DJ somewhere where I don't know the dancers. Yeah, but it doesn't take long to figure it out. No, I mean, there's some events I would say to the organizer, because I mean, I'm there to provide a service to them. And if I don't know the crowd and I don't know the event, like if it's a long standing marathon, I'll, I'll ask, can you kind of push me on the back end of the event, the Sunday? Maybe that'll give you a time to get to know the people there, because
That's
you
smart.
DJ better. You DJ better when you know people. You're not just running to a formula. It's not that you're not an organic algorithm. You're the people you know. Yeah, and it's an interaction. You feel them. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, and you have to just getting to know them. Yes, you can't DJ without getting to know them. There are broad general crowds, but there's within the tango scene, there's different types of circuits as well. There's people who come out dancing once a year, dress up and wear bling, and they haven't a clue. You could be playing Desarli and Gotan Project at the same time that they think it's wonderful. Yeah. And that's perfectly valid. Yeah. And then there's other people who they're dancing, not it's about exhibitions. They want to be seen to be well. So you can only ever play the top 100 for those, because it's the songs they know. You can't make them work. They don't get any pleasure out of being challenged or finding something new. And then there's most other dancers, the kind of normal dancers. They want a good consistent set, consistent tandas, but they like when the DJ throws a little surprise in there. Canaro they haven't, and it's easier with the Garda Viega Canaro they haven't heard before, or something like that. Yeah, and because I mean, let's face it, everybody's a DJ nowadays. There's no entry level. Yeah, there isn't, and it's great that that's the way it is. Yeah, because you see lots of people coming through, and you see, they have fresh ideas and fresh ways of doing it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like all things. Everybody knows how to DJ. It's just practicing enough to get skilled. And that would be something that I would have always makes the hair in the back of my head stand up when I hear people talking about the art of DJing. It's not an art; it's a skill. The analogy I give is carpentry.
Mm.
A good practice and application after a couple of years of you could be a reasonably good carpenter. Then there's probably on top of that, there's 10% of carpenters who are very good, consistently produce quality work. Yes, and then at the top echelons, yes, there's these people who feel the wood. There's this one very small percentage of craftsmen, artists in timber. Yeah, and it's the same in tango. You can be a good carpenter, a good DJ, if you just apply the basic rules, stick to the rules, and practice. Yeah, and get plenty of practice in, and try not to project yourself, yes, onto the floor, but what you think the people want, to a degree. Yeah, you can't obviously play music you don't like as a DJ. It doesn't talk to you. It has to at least reach you in some way. Yes. Like De Angelis, the classic. Everybody talks about De Angelis, that the valses are superb, milongas are woeful. Yeah. But his tangos, some people like them, some people don't. They don't talk to me. I don't get anything from them. So I can't put together a good tanda. I can't feel what the tanda of De Angelis should be, so I don't bother. So I don't bother. I know the valses, super. I mean, the classic valses, yeah, they're classic. Throw them on the table. They're like 4 aces. Yeah, they're super. Yeah, they're super. They're guaranteed to get people going. Floor fillers. But you can't DJ music that doesn't at least touch you some way, be it emotionally or physically, make you want to jump around. Yeah, it has to touch you in some way.
Does it happen to you that you've heard certain songs, which is quite common in tango, I would say, played certain songs too much, and then this connection disappears, this emotional. Can you still play them? Like it's just it's a suggestive question, but you know, I'm interested in your thoughts.
Sometimes I think as a DJ, it's a bit of a curse when you're sitting in an event, even if you're not DJing. I mean, I've been in events where the same tango is repeated by each DJ nearly across the whole weekend. That's a personal pet hate. I mean, there's a lot of music there. Yeah, you don't need that. But individual songs getting old now. But the more I find out about songs, and the more you research into the music, yeah, it changes how you feel about the songs. But and the classic one, when I was learning to dance in Dublin and basically jumping around the floor like a vertical wrestler with some poor woman trying to stay alive, hanging on to me. Yeah, Carnival de Bavaria, Donato, super happy song. So I thought, and then I went and researched it, and then I heard the full lyrics and the omitted. He threw sugar on it. It's not. It's actually a very sad song, and there's a fantastic version. Is it Mercedes Simone? I think it is. Yeah, Mercedes Simone sings it with all the verses, and it is just a completely different song. I want you to know that I can't ever feel that way about that song again. So that's happened to me with lots and lots of songs because I used to research a lot. We used to talk about music a lot and research, and I used to read your stuff. I mean, you were one of my sources of translation. So yes. Yeah. So your feeling towards the music changes, and as you learn the connections, and you might not everybody on the floor will probably know this, but you know it, and other people will know it. So you might flow from Carlo into something like Federico, and there's a link there in the history of the orchestras, etc.
There's a lot of layers, so that's what you would say. There's a lot of depth. Yeah. You just keep, going into these depths.
Yeah, but I think you can lose what the original. You can become too clever as well. That's a risk, and I'm always worried about that. That my first primary function is to A, for the organizer, to make sure that their people are happy and have a great night, and by making the people happy, it's entertainment. Yeah, you're there to entertain. You're not really there to educate. It's nice if you can slip something in. Yeah, but education, I think sometimes should be left to the local milongas than the bigger events.
You mean the teachers or something? What do you mean?
Yes, yeah, the teachers as well, and the local DJs. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not a very experimental DJ in a sense, but I feel like I was playing for a while at the local practica with the right kind of people as my audience, then you can put in something like this or that and be a bit more, you feel a bit more free than when you're at a bigger event where the responsibility just feels bigger to people should have a great night and they have certain expectations about that, and so it's quite subtle, it's all these factors.
I suppose I always try and keep in the back of my head if the music shuts down and I can't get it going again, nobody's going to die, so it's actually not that big a problem. Yeah. And if you're getting nervous, the fact is you're playing music, nobody's going to die if it stops. We're not doing so. Yes, I mean, when I'm DJing, I have 100% redundancy. Actually, more. Sometimes I'm paranoid. I bring full, everything is independent and everything can be swapped out, and it's happened to me. I've sat there before a very big milonga in the organizer's house that morning. Open the computer. Nothing. Every single thing gone off the computer, all tags, all the song linkages, can't find the files, takes 6 hours to rescan the hard drive. nothing. Yeah, and just an Apple. I use Apple Mac. Yeah, and Tractor Pro, an Apple update, basically blinded Tractor Pro. So I ended up DJing an event. Yeah,
With
just off the
iTunes.
cuff. With
Okay.
no, I got Tractor going,
Okay.
but I literally had to do it by memory and build the tandas on the fly. I think I had 3 tandas ready.
You know, I
And
think
then I started.
I've had like hundreds of dreams about all these things happening.
But
Do you have that experience as well? Did you ever dream about it?
no,
Okay.
no. It happened me. It happened me in the Netherlands and Germany. And the next day, I opened the computer and I had the same problem again. And I had another big set with high-level dancers, and I had to basically go off the cuff again. And it worked. And both milongas were successful. Both organizers asked us back afterwards. And after that, I became chilled out about problems. I
Okay.
still have all the safety equipment, and I have an iPad parallel stuck that I can just play off of, and it has saved music on it in case everything's independent. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's now that I've been through the hellfire, I suppose, of DJing from completely from memory. Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of like after that, then you become more relaxed and more chilled.
I think there's a good lesson in this, like for not being too like self-important about these things. Like it's good to be a good DJ, but like you're talking about things like there's maybe a certain redundancy, or and yeah, sometimes I've also felt like that's maybe the other side of it, but I felt like I'm part of the furniture or something. Like some people don't even greet you.
Yes.
So, but you know, that's not always nice to experience. But it just reminds you that you're just one of the factors of a successful milonga, and you're not like the center of it all. And it's always good to remember these things, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And yeah, you're there as part of the service, part of the overall ethos. The organizers there, the organizers been putting out candles and coloring the place and preparing biscuits or whatever the size of the event is. You're one factor, and
Yes.
all you have to be is consistent. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's for the organizer. That means you play a good set. And for the dancers, it means your tandas, well, on that scale, your tandas are consistent. So like if you're stepping out and the first song is Darien's or 38, the dancer is quite assured that the rest of the tanda will be the same type of music and the same era. Yes. Not a Darienzo history lesson, which I've heard on a few occasions, 38, 48, 68, and 72 in the same tanda. Yeah.
Absurd. Yeah.
Yeah, so that drives me mad as a dancer. Yeah, so yeah, I don't do things like that. I mean, it's like it's a deal between you and the dancers. They're trusting you that if he or she takes the risk of stepping out onto the floor, that it will all be as the first song, as the contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Announcement, right?
Yeah. This is what it's about. This tanda. Yeah, the first song is the gatekeeper.
Yes. So I have to take a look. We're so like specifically talking about things that I just have to take a new look at my at all my questions. Well, maybe we haven't really talked about this directly, I guess, but like, what do you like about tango and dancing tango yourself? So apart from all the DJing around it, just you as a person, as a dancer, etc.
It was, and well, I think the expression I like the most, I heard somebody say it once, and I've stolen it, is tango teaches you a little bit about dancing and a lot about yourself. Yeah, and I think that's very true. And I've even physically, going back to when I started, I was like basically a block wall. It was like dancing with a blue bear from the Jungle Book. Yeah, so I mean, because I was doing sports and it wasn't about flexibility; it was about bulk strength. I used to play rugby. I mean, but now and then learning about all these different things about how the interaction and learning to feel the other person and becoming aware, and just going through the whole process of understanding how there are people you connect with differently. So there will be dancers who, when a certain music comes on, Biaggi, when the cocaine Biaggis, you automatically think of certain people you'd like to dance with. Yeah. And the same thing with a trial or a Pugliese. There's some people that you could dance anything with them. Yeah. I think it gives you awareness of that people are basically fundamentally all the same problems, all the same. That doesn't matter where you go. You even see it on the larger level. You go to cities all over, there's the same tango bullshit going on in all the cities about organizers fighting and longest fighting, and if people not going to this one and not going to the same small little tribal stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that happens everywhere in all kinds of pursuits. Yeah, it's not just exclusively tango. Yeah, and it's the same. So you get people who think tango is the answer to everything. Tango is going to save my life. Yeah. And as those people are sitting there in the dance hall, in the city hall, thinking that while they're dancing to the music, this is what I want to do. I want to go to Buenos Aires and live the dream. This is, if only the people out there in the wide world knew how magical tango was. Probably upstairs in the attic, there's the local stamp collecting club holding up a non-perforated 1916 stamp and all going, wow, if people out there only knew how amazing this was to see this stamp. Yeah. And the same way, probably underneath the dance floor in the basement, there's somebody being whipped against the wall thinking the same thing. Yeah, this is just, everybody thinks they have the answer.
Yes.
Tango is part of the answer, but it's not the whole answer.
Yes.
And it's fantastic. It is wonderful. And my God, if travel back and meet 18-year-old me, I don't think he'd listen. Go and dance. Yeah. No, get off from
just whatever dance or
any kind of dance. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
mosh pits, I used to headbang. That was safe enough. Yeah. I mean, dancing in the sense that it's sharing between a couple. That was, well, but in Ireland, that wasn't in the culture.
And especially for males, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've always faced the same problem in a sense. Like I always had this almost indoctrinations of, you're not Brazilian, so you cannot dance, and you're a guy, and etc.
Yeah.
But
so tango gives you all that. It gives you a fantastic understanding of people, and you kind of, as a DJ, you kind of know that too. There's that famous Buddhist philosopher, Glenn Frey and the Eagles, with that line, some dance to remember, some dance to forget. And that's very much what happens on a dance floor. You have the music that people want to forget. You have the Darienzos, the Biaggis, the fast, the fun, and the music for the people who want to remember. Boulez, Troilo, Lorenz. Yeah. So there's that kind of difference. There's people out there for different reasons. Yeah. And you have to be conscious of that.
Yeah, but there's a bit of maybe a contrast here in your answer that on the one hand it's maybe quite unique, but on the other hand it's also similar to all the other things people think are special. So if
I think that's the human tribe. We're tribal animals. We're not large collective. We tend to have a maximum size and tango is a tribe.
Yeah.
So it's natural to believe that this is the right tribe to be in. Same psychological keys that turn the key of religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's so many, it's the same kind of thing.
It's like an almost sect like attraction in a way.
Yeah, there's a cultish element. Of course there is. Yeah.
Yes.
And there's subsects and like women and tango shoes. Like it's a whole dark world. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting to look at it this way, and also like all the human knowledge you gain, like the insight and I think it's psychologically very interesting, and maybe not all activities have that kind of these possibilities of learning how people function. And
no, and I suppose one of the unique things about it is it's everywhere. You can literally pretty much, if you're going somewhere, put into Google tango destination, and something will come up, especially in the Western Europe, of course, and the former Soviet countries, but even other countries. Yeah, there's tango everywhere, and it's growing, which is great. Yeah,
You think it's growing?
yeah, but I still feel it's growing. Yeah,
Okay, I've always seen this weird contrast, for example, between it's only I've only danced in Eastern Europe once in Poland, but I've seen a lot of young people there, and here it's mostly not so young people. And I wonder if you're referring maybe to that, or to just growth in general, like new people. Like I thought maybe there was some kind of hype, like
well,
but
take
it's
it and
over, I
take
guess.
it. Even looking at the number of events, I think Facebook and social media led to an explosion in tango. It connected us all in a way that wasn't possible before. Yeah, so I can't imagine how the likes of people found out for Facebook, yeah, and El Corte and all these people who've been around 30 odd years. Eric. I don't know what they were using to send out invitations, tango pigeons or something. So it's Facebook has connected it, yeah, so much, and it's made it easier. And then I think it's grown because before the pandemic, the number of events per week were just going up and up and up. And there's a guy who runs tango site, tango marathon directory, Daniel Decay. And I remember him talking to me once about the statistics, and he says when he started, the number of events, and each year the number of events are increasing. So it's not the same amount of people going everywhere, and it's not less people. Because an event, no matter where you are, still has to have a certain number of people to break even. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think very few tango events make a profit. Yeah, but to break even, yeah, they need a certain amount. So it must be growing. But then, like you say, you go to Eastern Europe, the average age group is a lot lower than Western Europe. Yeah, which is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you've been a
And
lot.
it should.
Yeah, go
It
ahead.
should be. It should be the case. It should be. I mean, but their culture is different. I mean, they teach dance in school in a lot of these countries, but in Ireland, well, we had a choice in my school. You had two sports: rugby or table tennis, and that was it. Yeah. And if you played table tennis, I don't think anybody actually did. Yeah. That was rugby was that was it. That was the school sports, and most schools are like that. And even in the state system, they were the Irish Gaelic sports. Dance is not part of the curriculum, and it should be.
Not even for girls.
Not even for girls. It's all there's ballet schools, of course, and etc. And dance schools and Irish dancing, but it's all extracurricular.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not part of the culture.
Yeah.
Now, I have elderly aunts and uncles that they're heading into their 80s now, and they still go dancing, which is Irish dancing, but not your river dance, which is like SNL, show tango, but the real Irish dancing, the social Irish dancing in the kitchens of other people at the weekends.
Okay.
And that's a sight to behold. It's a country farmhouse. You'll see people arriving up in cars and getting out. You'll see them. The first thing, the door will open and out will come a zero frame, and this old woman getting up the driveway into the house, sitting down, having a cup of tea, talking, and the next thing up, and the Zero frame is forgotten, and she's dancing a jig. And in her 80s. Yeah, it's. They move house to house around the country every weekend, somebody else's house. That's it, social, and then the musicians come in, and it's very like how the tango music started, a session. There's no kind of set playlist. There's songs that people know, but because the beat is the same, you don't really need to know, and they start playing off each other. And that's how the tango originally started, was musicians playing off each other way back in the early, like at the very start of tango. Session, so as we would call a session in Ireland. Then of course it got formalized, and then you had the early people taking over, Philco, etc. Yeah,
it's always something, when I really, I've been out of tango for quite some years, not just during the pandemic, but That's just one thing I really miss about going to Milonga, is that you can be social, but it's not like a party or something, which a lot of introverted people don't really like. It's more like you can go there and you can talk with people if you want, but if you just want to sit and listen to music or watch people, it's also fine. If you want to dance, you can connect with people in other ways than just dancing, and in ways that are not possible outside of dancing or even outside of tango. The connection, all these things, and it's just something unique in that regard. Yeah.
It is. It offers a place for everybody. Yeah. And like you say, what does that, as well as the travel, you get fascinating conversations with people and insights. Yeah. And alternative perspectives, that you would, and they're exposed in your information bubble. Makes your bubble wider. Yeah. Because we're all kind of bombarded with one or two images that's approved by certain authorities. So when you go and travel somewhere and talk to other people, you get perspectives you hadn't previously seen. So it always makes you kind of think twice. It's good for the brain generally.
Yes. Well, that's a lot of interesting insights today. I have one, I think, space for one more question now. So let me pick a good one. Yeah, we've actually crossed a lot of them off the list somehow. So
Okay, well,
that's a good thing.
It was never going to be a linear conversation with an Irishman.
No.
Yeah.
And why?
No.
Why is that?
That's because we just like words. We always try and use 10 words when one will suffice. Yeah, in fact,
You're quite talkative.
Yes, we are. Generally, as a people.
Okay. But that's great, because generally I would expect people in like the more northern you go, like the more close people are, but apparently that's not the case in Ireland.
No, I think we just got forgotten. Sorry, emails are coming in. So anyhow,
let me see. Yeah, maybe like some words about you're very interested in photography, and if you can say something especially related to tango, but also maybe just as your hobby, whatever you want to tell about this aspect of your life.
Yeah, well, it's just something it's a passion that started a little bit before the tango, and I had no interest in photography all my life when I was traveling. But I think I saw this sign in Dublin on the side of the gallery, darkroom developing course. And I've always wanted to know, from the old film noir, where you had the likes of the two detectives standing over the tray, washing the chemical over the paper, and the image would start to appear. What's that process? So that's what I was interested in. I had no interest whatsoever in photography. So I signed up. It was a Saturday, so I wasn't doing anything Saturday mornings. So I signed up and arrived at the first class, and the guy goes, "Where's your camera?" What camera? No. I just want to know what's going on the tray. I want to know, I'm an engineer, I want to know what the chemicals and the process. And he says, no, the course is we shoot a roll of film, you develop a roll of film, and we teach you how to print a roll of film. Sent me around to a camera shop, got a camera, a cheap camera off them, and it was the alchemy. It's all the different chemicals you can produce, different mixes and different outcomes, etc. And then taking pictures. I enjoyed the rush of going around the streets of Dublin and the not so pleasant parts, and taking up close street photography of people. People have always intrigued me, so I got fascinated by that. And then people heard I was into photography, and cameras started appearing out of wardrobes that they have that. I haven't used it for years, and so on and so forth. So all these blue boxes behind you in silver cases are cameras from 1920s all the way up to maybe 2000 would be the youngest. And that's just one. This is my camera room. All the tango CDs got pushed into another storage place, and this is all just camera. Lots of cameras. I'll put it that way. I've lost count. But I always take them with me, and I enjoy the other part of it. The tango travel is walking around with a camera. And then the odd time, because I use film only, I don't own a digital camera except what's on my smartphone. is taking pictures in a Malanga, but that's kind of rare because I need good light daytime. Yeah. But I've shot with 1938 folding cameras at marathons in Dresden, and other places. It was so. There's the odd occasion. The film has a different feel to it. It's and it's not instant. Everything these days is instant. You shoot, you don't know what you're getting. You have this. So you have to wait. Yeah. So actually, last night I was developing film from last weekend because we were walking down in West Cork hill climbing. So I always carry a couple of cameras with me. So photography is kind of a similar thing again. There's a great argument about whether photography is an art or a skill. Yeah, I think maybe it's got more of a chance of being called an art. Yeah,
And DJing.
Than DJing for sure.
Yeah.
Because there is a creative process involved. Yeah, more so.
Okay, and I was actually wanting to say something, ask more about the camera, but maybe as a final, some final words about this DJing. So maybe in what sense is it less creative because it's more predictable or something, or what?
Well, there's a limited amount of music there now. Thankfully, we have the good people like Don Dello in Austria with tango tunes, and Jens Ingo and Benedict with the tango time travel. Yeah, time travelers. Coming out with new transfers, but which is improving the range and the choices available. But still, at the end of the day, there's a limited number of repertoire. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so many choices unless you play a discordant tanda. Yeah, and maybe that'll come, but I don't think so. Hopefully not. So there's classic tandas. I mean, but they're not a problem because you need that. You can't be working hard as a dancer, in my opinion. Anyhow, you can't be working hard all the time to difficult music. You need a mix, you need a sorbet, and you need something rich, and then you need something light. It's keep things moving. So there's less skill, there are less art in the sense that you're not changing the music really. You're not, the music is recorded by these musicians. The last artist was the sound engineer, because they were in those days, they were in themselves highly skilled people, and what they did, with transfer, the old transistors, etc., and replacing transistors to get different tones and laying down that shellac. But after that, the creativity of putting it together in a certain sequence, you're more like a curator. Think of it like an art gallery. You have to walk people. You have to make people want to walk. Where each room has 4 paintings, like a tanda. You have to make them want to walk into the next room, and feel a connection with the previous room, and want to walk in. And you have to tell a story. So nobody ever says fantastic when you go to a wonderful art exhibition where there's a story as you walk through. Nobody ever calls a curator a fantastic artist. No, they're knowledgeable, they're skilled, and they've delivered. Yeah. But they don't get, nobody remembers the name of a curator of an exhibition.
No, the art has already been made.
Yes, yeah. So that's probably the link here.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, I have to stop here now, but
Okay.
I'm glad I could, or you could give the conversation a slightly more serious direction, but or else I wouldn't have survived it probably. But it was very interesting and amusing as well.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to talk to you, and hopefully we'll meet up when I get back over to the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yes.
Which hopefully won't be too long, given the way things are going.
Yes.
Because I do want to go back to my good friends over there and see them, as well as DJ there again. El Corte is one of my favorite places to DJ.
Yes. Well, I hope to see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Good luck. Bye bye.